it's Alice and Happy New Year. Welcome to the first video of 2023. Today, I thought we could take a look back on the previous year and do super quick one-sentence reviews of all the books that I read in 2022. I just feel like this could be a fun thing to do. Like at the end of every year and at the beginning of a new one, I always look back on all the books that I've read in the previous year, and I think sometimes having a little bit of distance from those books is interesting because sometimes there are things that I love in the moment and that I don't love as much when I've sort of forgotten about it a little bit. Sometimes a book doesn't feel as important in the moment, but then something about it really sticks with you in the long run. And I just think it could be fun to do, like, look back at it and see very quickly what I feel about it now. It is also a little bit challenging, and I feel like sometimes all you really need about a book or about something that you like or don't like are just a few words, and you can convey a lot in those few words. And I love being succinct, and I love when people are succinct, and you know, I just think this could be fun. And if you're the kind of like watcher who doesn't like watching reviews, here you'll get reviews of all the books that I read in the past year, just very, very brief ones. We're just gonna go in chronological order, so we'll start with the books that I read at the beginning of the year and end with the most recent ones, which I guess you won't quite get the same, like, I haven't gotten the same distance from the books that I've finished most recently, but we're just gonna do it anyway. And I have all of them on my phone, and I'll put up a picture here, and we'll just go through them, and I will, you know, see what comes to mind. I'm gonna do this as quickly as at all possible, so this might be a very short video, but we're just gonna get started. Starting with the first book I read in 2022, I would say an interesting dystopian slow burn about Icelandic isolation. Horrifying story, but also kind of horrifying structure. Literally peak writing, and I would like to marry Maggie O'Farrell. Love the food, kind of forgot everything else. Delightfully unlikable characters. Compulsive thriller about college kids. Important mix of personal and historical. I love this one because it's a super atmospheric dark academia. Also, quick side note, the second book is coming out in January and I am so excited. Anyways, next one. Wonderful characters, but a little slow. Entertaining, but one-dimensional and potentially slightly problematic. Bones, death, and all kinds of fascinating things. For this one, I would say, unfortunately, surprisingly forgettable. For the next one, the only way to explain this book is unexplored potential, and it was so disappointing. Then I would say in-depth and eye-opening, but didn't love the writing. Absolutely not. Weird is the only word to describe this, I would say. Wonderfully immersive epistolary mystery. Great setting and characters throughout decades. Literally just the best time, and I will stand by that until I die. Death and womanhood, although I will say I remember less about this book than I would have thought when I finished it. Summer camp mystery with surprisingly boring characters. Group of kids find a castle by walking through their mirrors, and in the castle lives a wolf girl. Literally just the best time, and again, I will stand by this until I die. I said I learned a lot from this, but I have forgotten everything. Then we have one of my favorite books that I read last year, which I would say is an intense, dark academia, toxic romance. Sweet, but incredibly predictable. Here's what's most likely to kill you depending on what age you are. Enjoyable, but repetitive. The life of a funeral industry worker is everything you can imagine and more, including surprisingly funny. Then I would say our dear main character deserved a better life. Trauma and humor is the only way to summarize this book. Dystopian on an island with a seed vault. So bad, but so good. Literally forgot that I read this. I seem to have read quite a lot of dark academia this year, which I'm very happy with, and I finally read this book, which I would say is about horrible people who love Shakespeare and are pretentious, but also interesting. Absolutely not. Absolutely yes, because it's adorable. Eerie changelings? Maybe that's giving too much away. Hell is a theme park and the devil is low-key kind of cute. Slow, historical, dark academia, translation appreciation. You could also call this just like translation porn. The ups and downs of kids growing up in neglect, and it was very sad. A magical ending to a magical trilogy. That was my whole list though. Those were all the books that I read in 2022. Some really, really good ones. I feel like I've read a lot of good books this year, and then I feel like I read some that were good, but maybe didn't stick as much. And then there are always a few bad eggs. I never quite know how to avoid them, but also sometimes it's just fun to read horrible books. Also, it's kind of fun to talk about sometimes, although of course all of this is personal preference. But yeah, this was fun for me to do, at least. I don't know how entertaining this is going to be to watch, but it was fun for me to look back on all the books that I read last year, and yeah, I feel like I read a lot of good books, and like I mentioned, I read a lot of dark academia, which I'm very into, and I will carry on in the new year if I can just find them. That was kind of it for this video though. I would love to hear some one-sentence reviews of some of the books that you read last year, specifically like the very best ones, but also the worst ones. I think that could be really fun to read in the comments. As always, thank you very much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you soon. Bye!